Hey everybody, my name's Linda and I am here to welcome you back to Heritage Trace Studio on YouTube. I'm very pleased that you've decided to tune in today to my FlossTube channel. It's been about 3 weeks since I filmed last. I've been doing quite a bit of stitching. I haven't finished anything. I have been doing a lot of stitching, but I'm popping around from one thing to the other. So I don't have a finished product to show you. However, I have lots of stitches to show you. And yeah, so again, I want to thank you for tuning in and hitting that like button and subscribing. I appreciate it so much, and especially I appreciate your comments on my videos. They are so kind and so fun, and that's the one cool thing about this medium, is that the interaction that we can have in building this stitching community. So I'm really glad to see when you all post a comment. So let me start by announcing the winners of our last 2 giveaways. We are giving away, the royal we, it's just me here. I don't know why I'm saying we. I'm giving away this copy of Blackbird Designs Strawberry Fields Forever. And the winner of that is Pamela Garrant, G-A-R-R-A-N-T, Pamela, G-A-R-R-A-N-T. So Pamela, please get in touch with me. Please remember that I need your mailing address so that I can get this shipped out to you, and that would be very helpful. Then the second item was this fabric by Flair. And if I remember correctly, there's a great big cool pumpkin in the middle of this, and then you can do your stitching design all over the whole print. So the winner of this is Stitching by the River 8666. That's Stitching by the River 8666. Congratulations to both of you. That's fabulous. Happy that those are going to go to good homes where they will be loved and appreciated and used. The next item of business is that I contemplated doing a whip parade, but quite honestly, if I waited around until I got my act together to get all the whips together and all the information that it goes into a whip parade, I'd never get another video done, probably. So I'm going to show you some whips, especially some whips that I have actually worked on since last we met. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what's been drawing my attention and what is calling me not too far down the line, I think. So the first thing that I'm going to share is a sal that I worked on, and I actually worked on this quite a bit recently. This is what I've been stitching the most recently. This is the Put a Bird on It sal. It is a modern folk art embroidery design, and I have to tell you, I love it. I'm totally obsessed. So when I picked this up, I was working up here on this motif right here, and I had this part of it done. So I finished all of this, I've put in the 9 and the 6. I've put in this swan. And then there's just a little bit in a motif to do up here, and then this will be the edge of the design. And so I was contemplating going ahead and doing that, or I decided to move down because this was a big open area here. And so the first few stitches here were on the previous page on the design, and I picked up from there and have been working my way over. It's very funny because as I was stitching this, I didn't realize until I laid it down and then walked away and came back that this is a horizontal bird right here. I was like, oh, it's one of the birds. So there's this top bird, and then there's another bird across from here in this motif down here. So I'll finish that and then decide which direction I'm going to go next. Now, as I said, I have things calling me, but I'm kind of thinking I would like to have this done. This might become my focus piece for the next few weeks. Doesn't have anything to do with Patriotic, which is what my last video was all about. Doesn't have anything to do with Christmas in July or Jolly July, depending on what people are calling it. Although I have been doing some of that. Yeah, so I get obsessive about things sometimes, and I'd love to see this completed. The next item, not next chronologically, but the next whip that I want to show you is actually a Christmas piece. This is called, the name of it is like SSS056 or something like that. It's a chart that I downloaded from Etsy, and I'll put all the information about the Etsy shop in the description. And I will say that I happened to stumble across this particular shop again the other day, and she has 20 some designs I'd love to do. The one that I think I'm going to download next is a, again, it's a monochromatic, but it's a scissor sampler, and it's fabulous. But this one, I call it my Christmas Quaker. Now, on the areas that look lighter, those are lighter because I haven't done the second half of the cross over them. What I do in this monochromatic type stitching where it's not variegated at all, it's just, you know, just regular old DMC bonk white. You can do it in what's called the Danish style of stitching, which is you do all your X's this way and then you come back the other way. And I like that because it makes things go a lot faster, and you can concentrate on getting the motif done, and then if you're chatting with somebody or you're watching something on FlossTube or whatever, you can go back and do the second half of your X's. And so I really enjoy that. Not to say that I don't like variegation and all that good stuff, but sometimes just a monochromatic is very satisfying. And you can see I've got several things that are partway done. Got to fill in this one. This one actually confused me for a while. Yeah, but I think I've got it down now. And sorry if I'm moving it around too much. It's so big that it's kind of hard to make sure that I can be heard. So you'll see here, I've done the second half of the stitching here, and this line across here, Um, I, I had stopped at this point, and so I've done all of this recently. I have filled in, I finished this. This was partway done. Um, I filled in the bottom part of this. I still have to, oh, I filled in all of that. When I say fill in, I mean, you know, did the second half of the cross. This one is still being built, and there are, underneath this, there's a medium size, and then there are a couple of little things, and then to come in, this is the bottom. So I've got, as you can see from here, quite a bit left to do. And the little bows at the top of the bar that holds the ornaments hanging. I forget how many I have. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I believe there are 9 all the way across. So there's quite a bit more to be done. This is on Picture This Plus 20 count. My mind used to work a lot better than it does now. I'll put it in the notes below. I'm sorry. But it's really cool fabric, isn't it cool? Now let me say, when I got this out the other day, I didn't know that I was going to work on it, but I was thinking that this would be the perfect fabric to do that new Patriotic chart with the big, you know, the house with the fireworks in the background and everything. Perfect fabric for that. But, you know, there's no way that I would rip all that out to use this fabric for that. So I looked around at some different choices of dark fabric, and I haven't found anything that I like anywhere near as much as this. So I am going to have 2 things stitched on this fabric. Not this actual piece, but I'm gonna get more of this, and so I'll have one thing that'll be up in the winter time and one up in the summertime that is stitched on this type of fabric, because I love it. And it's just the best. It's, you know, how can you not? It's so perfect for that. Okay. The next piece that I worked on, it's usually not a good idea to whack yourself in the face with one of your boards, but I'm talented that way. Okay, let me just get this folded up so I can put it back in the pile to be. The next thing that I worked on, or actually the very first thing that I worked on since the last time that we talked, was the stripes chart that goes with the Stars and Stripes. There was the collaboration between Plum Street and Shakespeare's Peddler. And this is I believe this is the Shakespeare's Peddler half of the collaboration. So I got the stripes all done, and I'm starting to work across, and this is the top of the barn, and here's the little beginning of the flag, and so I worked on this. And if you will remember, I've already finished the stars portion. And so this is the stripes portion, and I am redoing the ampersand that goes in the middle of them. So it's Stars and Stripes, and I do plan to work on this more Probably not this month. I'm going to work on this again in August as part of my Patriotic stitching for the month of August. And I would like to try to get it finished by the end of August because of other things that I've got calling my name. So there's that. And I spent quite a bit of time working on Mr. Sea Turtle. Mr. Sea Turtle is a design by this design is by Laser Arts Designs, and it also is a download. I do not have the picture of the front, but I will include the information here for you so that you can look at him. He's, as we always used to say, he's way cool. And I'm sorry, I have a thread hanging. I also have a fan going. I hope the sound is not too bad in the background. It's a little warm here in North Texas today. Here's where I have gotten on the sea turtle. This was the first page, which is all completely done now. And then this is the second, well, maybe like that far. It's the first page. And then this is all the second page. Sorry, I don't mean to hold it in a crooked manner. And you can start to see there's the edge of the shell emerging. And his little head's gonna be over here and his little leggies down here. And the whole thing has all of this confetti color flying off of him as he works his way through the water. And he's really, really cute. The sister that this is intended for picked out the design herself. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, look at all that confetti, but it's not too bad. I am traveling, but it'll be all right. I'm sure it'll be fine. So that's watercolor sea turtle. And that is something I would really like to spend some more time on in the next couple weeks, because to see him, you know, emerging is pretty exciting. And since she asked me to do this for her, I've been seeing pictures of sea turtles everywhere. I'm the office manager for a small church, and they have a little, not magazine, it's a daily prayer saying publication that comes out every 2 months, and the July and August issue has a sea turtle on the front of it. And when it came in the mail, I just laughed and laughed and laughed. Of course, I was all alone in the office, so it was okay that I laughed and laughed. Nobody thought I was losing my mind. All right, the next WIP this WIP, oh friends, I don't know. I just don't know. This is the piece that I started stitching 12 years ago, and I still like it. I'll pull it out here in a second and show you. I still like it. I still really like it. And I have restarted it at least a half a dozen times because I keep getting off. And I mean, I learned how to count pretty early on in elementary school, you know, kindergarten. I remember Miss Baines teaching us our numbers. Let me pull the project bag for this. I've got a huge pile here. I hope I don't knock things over. Could I have put it on top? No, and I'll show you why. It would have caused the whole pile to fall over because it's very bulgy. See, it's very bulgy. I made this project bag. Isn't it adorable? Not, you know, my stitching, but the fabric. I can't take responsibility for the fabric. So this chart is an old Stony Creek pattern. And I'm sorry, I don't remember if I showed this in my first video, but this is the design right here. And like I say, I still love it to this day. However, so I have started, one time I started in the center up here. A couple times I started over here, another time I started. So here's one of my starts. And I got off pretty quickly and put it away, aside, whatever. This is 20 count, so it's pretty tiny, and 1/1. So there's no way I'm gonna rip that out. Finally, I decided, since I'm having so much trouble with it, maybe I needed to use some gridded fabric. So I tried gridding fabric myself. What a pain in the patootie. So I purchased some. And this is a, I can't remember to tell you the honest truth if this is a 16. I think it is. Not 14. And I have a extremely small start. Part of the problem with that, with this, is I don't like just, for the most part, don't like just plain white backgrounds. So that's why I wanted to grid some fabric myself, so I could grid it on some fabric with some color and movement to it. I don't know, friends. I have to make a decision. If I'm going to keep this around for another 12 or however many years, or if I'm going to just say, forget it, UFO it. It's not worth my time. There's so many things. Okay, so here's the thing. I firmly believe that you should stitch what you love. Stitch what you love. The world is too crazy and too stressful to spend time stitching on something that is causing you anxiety or dismay or frustration or whatever the case may be. Then I look at the pattern and I'm like, yeah, I still really like it. I have to make a decision. I told myself I'm going to make a decision by the end of this year, because it's not going to, if I'm going to UFO it, if I'm not going to finish it, it's not going to go back on a WIPGO chart, chart list for next year. It's on my WIPGO list for right now, for 2025. I don't know if it's going to get any more done on it than this little measly few stitches. I don't know. I don't know. So the reason that this bag is so bulky is because there are lots and lots and lots of floss required by this. The other thing is that this is one of those charts from back in the day where there's a lot of back stitching to make the design really pop. So, you know, once I get the whole thing done, then there's the back stitching issue. It might sound like I'm trying to talk myself out of doing it. I don't really feel that I'm at that point right now. I'm still at the point of I don't know. in the meantime, it's going back into the bag. I was going to get it out the other day and work on it for Jolly July. But then I realized that I had, if you remember, last time I talked a lot about patriotic stitching, and I came across the Flag Thief, which is also on my WIPGO list, and it got called this month. And in all honesty, it was not a WIPGO that I put on my WIPGO list. It was something I wanted to start. So I did. I started it. And I'm going to try to show you, because it's on my frame. Move all this stuff so that maybe you can see it. I don't have a lot done. I have the 2 trees done. Well, Linda, why don't you make things more difficult for yourself? So I have the 2 trees done, and I have a little tiny part of the flag started. Because then I was looking, it's like, oh, look, it's on my WIPGO, but it also will count as a patriotic stitch because it's all about the flag. So I'm, working on 2 goals, WIPGO list and patriotic stitch. And I love this because the little rabbit is stealing the flags. So I love that. And that's gonna stay on my stand for a while so that when the spirit moves me, I can put some more stitches into it. And these are the threads, and it's I believe it's all the called for. And look at these little floss tags, aren't they cute? And I am stitching that, by the way. I originally was going to stitch it on Weathered Stone by Atomic Ranch, but I decided, and then I was going to stitch it on Sand Dollar, but I have ended up moving to Oat by Stitch Me, and I finally got smart and put the tag for the fabric in the back of my project card. So that hangs right on my stand, along with a gazillion hoops. They come in handy depending on what I decide to work on in any given moment. Also, these are the threads for the sea turtle that I also have hanging on my stand. Now, I can't leave those on the stand like that if I'm not home, because a certain someone whose name is Max, aka the crackhead dog, he likes these wooden floss thingies. What are these called? My mind is going again. Anyway, he likes those, and he likes to chew them and crunch them, and so I have to keep my floss away from anywhere where he can get them. Here's how bad my memory is. Did I show you this already? I think I did. So look at him stealing a little flag. Really love this, and it's interesting because even though there's some intense stitching on here, like the grass and then all the house, and I've never done one of these kinds of things with all the different colors for a roof. And also, well, I kind of done things similar to the house in the Stars of Stars and Stripes, but love this. So that is a now a WIP because I have started it. Also, along the lines of the Patriotic stuff I was obsessed with last time, I was supposed to be stitching on the Spring Moon Sal that Pete from Oh For Pete's Sake and Stitchy Linda did back in April. And I only got a few stitches into it. I didn't participate very well. I still have it all ready to stitch on. But in the meantime, Summer Moon is calling me, season appropriate, and Summer Moon has 1776 and Flag and Great Big Bunnies, which you may remember I love bunnies. So I am going to switch, intending to start Spring Moon with starting Summer Moon. And I have all of the floss ready to go, or as my husband would say, RTG, ready to go. And we're getting ready to go somewhere. He'll say to me, "Are you RTG yet?" And then I am going to stitch it on Honey by Bee Stitch Me. And I think the threads will look really nice on that. The fabric that I had originally chosen was lighter, but I was afraid that the white would not show up enough. And so I wanted to choose this yellowish golden honey color so that the white will show up against it. It's sad when we have our fibers become ghosty, because people should see that, yes, we did actually put stitches in it. So that's going to be a new start very soon. See what I mean? There are things calling me. It'll be Patriotic. It'll substitute for a Sal I was supposed to be doing. So there's that. The next, I have a couple other whips to share. Sorry if this is kind of like bouncing around. Like I said, if I waited until I really was organized, this would still be an uncompleted video. So I believe I showed you a while ago that I have been participating in the Stitching with the Housewives blooming, what's it called? Blooming Roots. Yes, Blooming Roots. And they are a series of houses with different flowers for every month, and you put it on this piece by, it's not Chantel 141, it's Paisleys and Polka Dots. And the street sign here, you stitch that, and then the house as well. And I have the first month, which I believe was last September. I had that one done. I have it mounted on sticky board, ready to be put on the house, but I haven't finished painting the house. You know, it's only been 8 months. I have it. It's in the closet. It's ready to have some attention paid to it. And I wasn't really thinking that I was going to be working on this soon, but a couple things. I watched Red Velvet Quilt's most recent FlossTube, and she was talking about stitching with the Housewives designs, and how when she first started stitching, that's the kind of stuff that she was working on, and how she had some things that were unfinished from a couple of monthly programs of theirs that she did, and she just thought maybe she should get it out and stitch on it, because it was kind of a comfort zone place for her. And you know, comfort stitching is an important thing. And so I thought, yeah, I should look and see what, I mean, I only have one actually done, and then there's, this one is almost done. I think the only thing really that I have to finish is some stitching in the street sign. This is, you know, Bittersweet Boulevard. Bittersweet? Yeah, Bittersweet Boulevard. And I really like that. It's, you know, so autumnal, so pretty. And the September, this is October, the September block was done on this same fabric. And I have enough here to do a couple more months. I don't know what I was going to start down there. I wonder if that's the Christmas Quaker by Plum Street. Could be. If so, I think I'm going to take those stitches out, because I want to use this for more of the blooming roots houses. So I got out my bag with all the blooming roots houses, and I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to get the house ready. I'm going to finish the painting. I'm going to put the display piece together and be able to actually use it for display. And I have some sparkly fabric that I thought I would use, particularly the January one. It has snowdrop flowers, and I thought that would be kind of cool to use. And I believe, if I am not mistaken, there's only 2 more months left to the series. I don't think I've received July yet, and then there'll be August. And then this series will be done, and I only have one actually done, completed. So bad. So that is calling me. That is not just a whip, it's a whole whip series, because the whole thing needs to be finished. Then made this bag. Isn't it fabulous fabric? I had enough to make 2 bags. Yay! And in these bags, because they're kind of autumny colors, I have projects that are for autumn. And autumn has been calling me, even though it's, you know, 90-some degrees outside and the humidity is unbelievable. That's why I have the fan going. And even though I like, you know, patriotic stitching, and I'll be doing some patriotic stitching every month until next summer. Yeah, autumn is calling me. The other day, as I was looking at patriotic things, I came across, this is by Annie Bees, this is Harvest Moon. And so look, it's fall and patriotic, look. It's awesome. So, and I've had this kitted for months and months. So I am going to get to work on it. I'll be stitching on 20 count, oh my word. Oh no, sorry. This says it's 18 count. Looks kind of tiny to be 18. But it's 18 count Prairie by Picture This Plus. This very subtle yellow. And this will look so good on that. And here are all the called for. The white could be a little ghosty. If it turns out to be too ghosty, I might switch out the white with something else. We'll have to see what happens when I get to that point. But I am totally and completely in love with this. So that's calling me. And especially today is July 15th. So once August hits, even though we are still sweating like crazy, or as Buffy on Family Affair would say, we get all soaked up because it's hot and muggy down here. When August rolls around, I start thinking about autumn, and so that chart is definitely calling me. So it's going to be a new start for now, but it'll soon be a WIP, so it kind of fits in with the whole WIP thing on the jiggy. Now, WIPGO, the second one called for this month was Feast of Friendship. You've seen so many people stitching this. Lots and lots of people. I think Roberta from Sable Stitchers either just finished it or is almost finished. And I think Linny already finished it. And I mean, just a lot of people. And a lot of people have said you have to be careful with the footed bowl thing here, because you can see it's kind of a grayish color, and if you get your background too light, it's hard to see, and people have had that challenge. So I pulled all the called for floss, but I also pulled some kind of grayish tinged, even more of a gray than that, so that it would show up. And the fabric is 16 count doubloon. I picture this plus. So I purposely chose a little bit darker than what I think this background shows, in the hopes that my footed bowl would show up. So again, not yet a WIP, but pretty soon it'll be a WIP because I'm going to start it pretty soon. And there are the flosses. So Red Writing, True. And then right after this, she came out with a companion piece, and I don't have that one yet, but I'm going to get it. And like I said, I'm going to, my mistake of showing the chart just a second ago will be remedied, and when you actually watch this, you won't even know that I did that. And then my other one is Samplers and Primitives, Long May She Wave. Those are two smalls that I'm going to be working on soon. Then for more Christmas in July, or Jolly July, I had started Santa's House last year when it came out. So it is a WIP, and it is, I started on the roof. And you'll see, hold on to your hats because it's a huge, huge start. I don't even know if it goes, which way does it go? I don't know if this is the right side up. Because look, it's pathetic start. But it's a whip. It's definitely a whip. And this is on 20 count oatmeal by Fiber on a Whim. So I want to make some more progress on that. So it has been pulled out, and it's in another one of my cute sheep and Christmas tree bags. Somebody asked me about my floss cards, my project cards, and that's, I just get a, you know, a name badge thingy, and then I used Word and created a thing to cut up and put in there. And it's a good way to keep track, and it's good for a zipper pull and all that good stuff. All right. Then, this is my last new start. Is that true? No, it's not my last new start. This is my last new start over here. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So, if you attended last December, the virtual retreat through Lindy Stitches. I'm so sorry, people. My mind just doesn't want to cooperate. Teresa Kogut had the exact same Santa motif that she released as a separate chart in a blue coat. And I do have, it was a PDF that you could download, and I do have that, and my Santa is going to be a blue coat. I love the color green, but I want the blue coat one. And I have all the called for floss right over here. Actually, I don't have all the called for floss. I have almost all the called for floss. And then I am doing some conversions on some of it, and I've got extra in here because this is the floss for both this and Christmas Kitty. And my Christmas Kitty is not going to have a brown face, she's going to have a gray face because I am particularly fond of gray kitties. Don't currently have a cat because we have dogs now, but I have had gray kitties in the past. So the flosses on here are for both of these charts. I plan to start the stocking first. This one may not get started for quite a while because the stocking is really speaking to me. And I'm going to be stitching it on Moonstone by Fiber on a Whim. Now, when I first started going to pull out these threads for this the other day, as I was thinking Christmas and Jolly July, I was like, oh, I don't know if, I've used up almost all of my beigey colored fabric, and I'm kind of on a little bit of a purchasing moratorium right now. And I didn't want to have to buy something new for a little while. So I have, those, all of us Aida stitchers are used to this crunchy stuff. And I thought, well, I could tea dye it. And, it's so stiff. well, how would I tea dye it so it wasn't all icky, stiff? So I went to our dear friend, YouTube, and Googled, Google and YouTube, whatever you do, searched. The brain just worked. Did you see it? Did you catch it? I searched on how to soften Aida and found several very helpful videos out there. So if you're interested and haven't done it, give them a look. The one that I saw that I think I'm going to do was you take the Aida and you take white vinegar and just a little bit of fabric softener and put those in a bowl, and then put your Aida in it and let it soak. And she let it soak for quite a while. I think it was a couple hours. And then took it out, squeezed as much of the solution out of it as she could, and she ran it under the faucet with some dish soap. She used Dawn, which is what I use also, so a little bit of Dawn dish soap. And then she had a towel there, and she laid it in the towel, and she rolled it up in the towel so that the towel would wick away more moisture. And once she got it all rolled up, she laid it on her floor and stepped on it down the whole length of the rolled up towel, which I thought, boy, I hope she got all that moisture out, otherwise it's all over her floor now. Anyway, and then she would feel it at that point and see how soft it was. And if it still felt like it was too stiff, she would do the process all over again, and sometimes leave it in that solution overnight. And she said that when she's done with the solution, she doesn't pitch it. She puts it back in the vinegar jar or jug or whatever, bottle, and reuses it. I don't know how many times you could reuse it, but she, not that vinegar is all that expensive, but anyway, frugality is a good thing. So I have 2 counts of Aida in stock, so to speak, 16 and 18, and I'm going to try to soften them both up. And then I'm going to do some hand dyeing. I don't know if I'm going to try to do a tea dye. I don't know if I'm going to try to do I'm not crazy about the idea of RIT for some reason. I know a lot of people use it. Back when I dyed quilting fabric, we used Prochem from the company in Rhode Island, and I might see if I want to order from them. I don't know. I don't know, but it won't be white. It'll be dyed. And that's something I'm going to do in the not too distant future. Have I gone over everything? I think I have. There is one other thing that I don't really think will get done, because I had this before I had the stocking. With the intent that I would be stitching something from this book, but I have Teresa Kogut's Hello Santa book, and this is another reason why I want to do the blue Santa on my stocking, is because I do like this Santa as well, although he seems a little skinny. Maybe he's been on Ozempic, I don't know. It works for some of us. So, but I like him, and I like, the little critters and a little teeny tiny house, and anyway, so I like him. And there are also a couple other designs from this book. Let's see if I can successfully show you the pictures without showing the chart. This Santa is more traditional red. And again, looks like he might have gotten a good prescription for Ozempic. But his hips are still big, like mine. Actually, my hips aren't that big. I've lost a lot in my hips. It's the belly area, but yeah. So something from this book is on my someday to-do list. What else do I have here? Thought I had another one stuck between the pages. And I've got the fabric selected and the yarn and everything. So it's all kitted up, ready to go when I make some progress on the others. Notice that I said make some progress. I didn't necessarily say finish. All right, friends. The other thing that is calling to me is I have started Primrose Cottage Christmas. I've started this at least once, maybe twice, and keep misplacing it. Maybe that was what was at the bottom of that one piece of fabric. But I want to get that done. Add that to my Quaker's collection. And the other thing that I want to do is, with August upon us, August to me is all the bee stuff comes out in August, and I have stitched, I would rather be stitching. And I want to do more pillows to go with this, from the Hive Rules chart, but just, I don't want to do the whole thing because there are a couple of there that I'm not that crazy about the saying, but I'm going to pick a couple that I like from that long chart and make some individual pillows. So I'm going to be doing some bee stitching, and I have purposely kept my floss together that I'll be using. Neither Christmas nor patriotic, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? Friends, I believe that is the end. The final thing that I want to say is, today is July 15th. This weekend, July 19th and 20th, is the Midsummer Stitch, hosted by Lindy Stitches. And $10 will get you in, and it's usually a lot of fun. Well, it's always a lot of fun. So I encourage you to think about that in case you haven't. And then the last thing to say is thank you again so much for joining me today and sticking around for the stuff that I've been stitching, should be stitching, want to stitch. There's just not enough time. Our lives are not, the days are not long enough, usually, unless you have to work, and then they're way too long. Thank you. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends. And I hope that you have enjoyed today's video, and that maybe you said, hey, I think I have that. Maybe I should dig that out. Or don't want to influence anybody into spending money that, maybe shouldn't. But, like I said, I'm on a spending moratorium, except that I do still participate in one Floss of the Month club. These are Gentle Arts, and I get these through a shop in Canada. And I love them. I just recently stitched with my first Gentle Arts project, and I really liked it. So I've decided, I have tons of classic colorworks and tons of weeks, and of course DMC. So I decided that I'm going to build this stash up a little bit and getting some gem arts. So if I'm an influence, sorry, not sorry. All right, friends, I hope that you are well. I hope that your family is well. I hope that you find time to relax and use your stitching to be contemplative and thoughtful and, you know, appreciate the life that we have, as frustrating as it many times can be. And I hope that you have very, very satisfying stitches. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.